This is Liz.
This is Jade.
And this is Carly. And you're listening to
Babes and Babies.
Yay! Okay, so you guys, we're doing something a little bit different this week. I know we usually talk at the very beginning, but we are going to delve right into our topic, which is premature awareness. It is Premature Awareness Month, and Premature Awareness Day was November 17th. So we have a great guest on, Jessica Payne, also known as Jess Southern. And we're super excited to have her on and tell her story because it is a amazing miracle of a story.
Yeah, we'll let her share her story, but I'm pretty sure her daughter was born at 27 weeks, which is really early. I know that doctors they consider a pregnancy or a delivery viable at 24 weeks. So if your baby's born at 24 weeks pregnant, that's kind of the cutoff of where they are going to intervene and try to save your baby. So I know each week is very important. Like if you can, if you're at 24 weeks, you think you're going to go into labor, and if you can prolong it to 27, then obviously the success rate of your baby surviving is extremely higher each week that you are pregnant. But still, 27 weeks is early. That's so scary.
It looked like her daughter, Lennon, I looked at one of her Instagram photos. She had posted a picture of her daughter on her chest at 1 month. And it said that she had gained a pound. And so at that point, she was 2 pounds, 10 ounces, which means at birth, she was 1 pound, 10 ounces. She was so small. And I know she'll tell us this as well, but it said that she couldn't see her baby for 24 hours after she gave birth. So can you imagine, you give birth to your child and then they take her from you for 24 hours and you don't get to see her or touch her or speak to her or anything? Oh,
it's like my nightmare. That's got to be the longest 24 hours of your life.
Completely. Liz, did you have some statistics? I can't talk this morning.
I was just going to kind of go on what Jade was saying, but I guess there's about 1 in 10 infants born in the United States are premature, or what I guess we call preemies. So, it's a lot, a lot of people.
You're considered 36 weeks and under is considered premature. So some babies are born at 36 weeks, and that's in that statistic.
Right.
Right, yeah. And they're fine. They're definitely don't have as many risks as the ones born earlier. But any baby that's born early is a little bit at risk. I think one of the biggest things is lung development, making sure that they can breathe on their own. But Jade, Emerson was premature.
Yeah, well,
even though it was late term.
She was considered late term. So there's micro preemies, and then I guess just, premature. And then I just know that she was considered late term premature. And she was born at 36 weeks, 0 days. So exactly on the 36th, start of the 36th week. And that's what they were most worried about, was her lungs and then actually her kidneys. And, but when she was born, they checked her and everything seemed fine. And she was actually a good weight. And I feel like I was lucky because that's what happened with Jess Southern, is she had preeclampsia. And that's why her baby was such a low birth weight too, besides being born so early. But I think that really helped Emerson. And then they also say that boy babies that are born premature have more lung problems. My nurse told me that they call it wimpy boy syndrome. And it's just, for some reason, girl babies have an easier time recovering, I guess, or not surviving, but thriving, born premature. Yeah. So it was scary. It was just more of a shock to me when she was born that early. And it was really scary during my labor because we didn't know what was going to go wrong. And she did have that true knot in her cord. So I don't know if that was the reason why, I also at 32 weeks got strep, and I was really sick. And
I remember that.
Yeah. I had an ear infection. I had strep in my ears, and my eardrum burst.
Right.
And I couldn't take any medicine because I was pregnant. It was so bad. It was so painful. But they say sometimes infection will cause early labor. So,
interesting. Gosh.
Yeah, but that was at 32 weeks, and then she was in there another month. But I also know, which kind of worries me, is that if you have your first child premature, you're at a higher risk of all your other pregnancies being early, to have more babies born premature. And it is like, if the risk is higher the earlier your baby is born. So Emerson was right on the cusp. So I may be able to carry her to full term. But I couldn't find a statistic online. I was trying to see what the actual statistic is. It just says you're at an increased. Oh, sorry, you guys. There's mover people coming. You hear them.
Yeah, I know my sister Nikki, she had her first kid was 4 weeks early, and her second kid was 4 weeks early.
Interesting.
Yeah. They were both a month early.
You guys might hear some voices upstairs. I apologize. But it says things. Oh, I wanted to talk about things you can do to help prevent another premature birth. It says, talk to your healthcare provider about things you can do before and during pregnancy to help reduce your risk for premature birth. And waiting at least 18 months between giving birth and getting pregnant again may help reduce your risk for premature birth in your next pregnancy. And then it says, for certain women, taking progesterone shots during pregnancy may help reduce your risk for premature birth. And then if you're at risk for preeclampsia, taking low-dose aspirin during pregnancy may help reduce your risk for premature birth.
Interesting. So there are things that you can do.
So if you know, like, you're at risk, I mean, definitely talk to your doctor, and I'm sure you already have. But this was from the March of Dimes website, and that's the organization that's advocating for premature birth awareness.
Cool.
Yeah.
The other things that help, help prevent going into premature labor, though, a lot of times it is health as well. Like women who smoke or drink or do things like that during pregnancy oftentimes end up going into premature labor.
So don't do that anyway.
Don't do that. But yeah, Jade, like you're saying, like taking that break in between having babies, letting your body heal, get back to a good healthy weight, and then trying to maintain health during your pregnancy is definitely a big one to help prevent from possibly doing that again. And of course, like if you did have your baby super premature, like you said, Jade, you'd be at risk, but a lot of times doctors would then consider you high risk and would monitor you throughout the pregnancy.
Right. Which actually I don't want, because I want to have another midwife natural birth, midwife assisted natural birth. And so it's so hard for me when I get pregnant again and I go to somebody and they're like, hey, listen, like we can't take you on, you're high risk. That's something that's going to be hard for myself to accept. Obviously I will.
Well, let's just not put that out there.
Safety comes first, but yeah.
No, everything will be just fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Better than fine.
Yeah. But anyway, Jess Southern, her story is quite the story. I know she, her daughter Lennon was an IVF baby, and she kind of had a crazy pregnancy on top of just the story of her labor. So should we get her on and listen to her?
For sure.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Oh my gosh. Well, can we just say that we are so excited that you're sharing your story, because your story is incredible.
A miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, no, literally. I'm like, I'll start crying. I'm like, I feel like I still have like all the progesterone shots. I'm like, I'll like start crying. So I'm like, oh my God, stop. So like, I'll probably cry a lot because
we'll cry with you.
Sensitive, but like, yeah, I'm very sensitive. Anybody that knows me, I'm like a hush puppy. But then, yeah, like even when I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, stop. I can't take it.
Yeah.
It's so bad. But no, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm like, now I was going to cry. Now I got a sweater hair in my like thing. I'm like, it's not actually crying.
When was your daughter born?
She was born on June the 4th.
June 4th. Okay.
June 4th.
Oh my gosh.
So wait, how old does that make her? Sorry, I can't add.
So she is 5.5. 5.5. It's so weird. So because I'm like, I feel like every time that I go to the doctor, I'm like, they're like, go in this room. This is for new babies. But like, wait a second. She's a preemie. So like they want her in this room. And then like, so she was born June the 4th. So she's 5 months. But it's 2.5 months
adjusted or whatever they call it.
Yes. Yeah. Chronologically, she's like 5.5. So yeah, it's very confusing. I'm like, what? They're like, we're giving her these vaccines, but yet like she's only, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so confused. Like, how old is
Yeah, I know what you mean. My daughter was born at 36 weeks, so it's not even a comparison. But that's
so early.
They still say that. They always say that she's like, because she's 15 months. They say 14 months adjusted. And then sometimes I think my pediatrician forgets, and then I'm like, wait, no, because she's a month early. But it's so weird.
It gets so confusing. Like it genuinely gets so confusing.
And then wait till people like start asking you about like all the milestones, and you're like, you have to explain it, and you're just like, ugh, because like some of them they miss or whatever. Like my daughter's not walking yet, and so many people are like, why is she not walking? I'm like, I mean, like some babies just don't, and then she was premature, and then everyone's like, oh, it's just annoying.
Oh yeah, no, well, it is so confusing. Like, so me and my cousin were supposed to be like 2 weeks apart. She was on August the 9th, and I was on the 31st. And so it's so funny just talking to her because she'll be like, oh yeah, like you don't have her on a schedule yet. Like she's almost 6 months, Jessica. And I'm like, Ashley, she's like a 2.5 month old. Like, no, I do not have her on a schedule. Like whenever she eats. Like whatever makes her happy, like she does. She is literally 2.5 months. And she's like, but no, she was born here. And I'm like, I know, I get it. Like, just stop. I know. Like, it's so different because she's like comparing her to him. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, and then also like some babies walk at like, I feel like some babies take a first step at like 8 months, and then some do it like 16. You know what I mean? It's like babies are so different.
Right. They're so different.
So different.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything better than cute, affordable, high quality gym clothes that you can either wear to the gym or lounging around the house. I mean, come on. I found Fabletics. It is Kate Hudson co-founded this brand, and I am obsessed with it. It has new styles every single month, new prints, new collections. They have tennis shoes. They have sports bras. They have leggings. They have really cute workout tops and jackets and all the things you could possibly need that are so cute, so fashion forward for like half the price of Lululemon. Are you kidding me? And right now, you can get 2 pairs of leggings for only $24. That's a $99 value when you sign up for a VIP membership. So head on over to fabletics.com/babes and seriously, get 2 pairs of leggings for $24. They're so cute. You're actually going to have a really hard time choosing. So I would just throw on a few more pairs in there. And there's also free shipping on orders over $49. International shipping is also available, and there's absolutely no commitment when you purchase your first order. So head on over right now to fabletics.com/babes. You're welcome.
I guess I kind of want to take it back to the beginning and talk about your journey getting pregnant too, because I know that Lennon was an IVF baby, right?
Yes, she was.
I guess if you want to open up about that too and share, because I know a lot of our listeners are women out there experiencing infertility and trying to get pregnant. And if you're open to sharing that, we'd love to just hear your journey with that too.
Yeah, of course. Do you just want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like,
we want to know all of the things.
Okay. So basically, and I feel like it's like, I'm so sensitive to it now that like whenever somebody first gets married, I like will not ask like when you're having a baby. I like won't do it.
Yeah.
Because I remember getting like all those questions. And I had a really bad first marriage, like really abusive, first marriage. And I guess like, I always thought like, well, I went through that. So like, I'm going to be able to like have this baby, like at the very end of the day, like we're going to be able to like with the second marriage, like he's amazing. And, I kind of like did my time is what I was like considering it. Like I did my time. I dealt with some bad stuff. So I'm going to be able to get pregnant in like 2 seconds. So, we literally started trying from like our wedding night, which was, we got married September the 10th, 2016. And we started trying. And then like at Christmas, like in my head, and I think like all girls was like, oh my gosh, like we're going to tell the family on Christmas that we're pregnant. And then like, I got my period. I'm like, okay. And then my period's like the most evil thing in the world because I'm always like 4 to 5 days late. So like I'm that person that's like, no, I'm pregnant this month. And then it's like, you're kidding. No, you're not, girl. You just have a really crappy system. So then like, you know, it was like through February and I'm like, okay, what is going on? Like, we're still not pregnant. And I was like, I mean, I had a bracelet, I had ovulation sticks, like I was doing everything. And I had had my eggs tested when I was 29 and I was actually high for my age at that time. I was, they were like, no, like whenever you find somebody and meet the person, like you're going to be fine.
Wow.
So, like fast forwarded, like it's like March and then like all of my friends started like getting pregnant again. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like I was leaving my legs up in the air. Like we were tonguing it. Like we were literally doing everything. Like I was holding my pee for like an hour and a half. I'm like, nope, not going, not going to pee out that baby. Like, what's going to happen? And then we went to Italy and everybody's like, oh, well, you're stressed about it. So you need a vacation. We were like in Italy and everybody's like, oh, well, you have to drink the water from the Vatican. So I'm like, literally, yes, evidently women can get pregnant. And of course, like you hear everybody tell you like all these different things, but evidently Italian women are very fertile. Like they're just like very fertile. And I guess like, it's like an old wives' tale that's like, well, they're fertile because they drink this like holy water.
Wow. So
I was over there with like chugs of water, like not letting anybody else in line get the water. I'm like fully like drink something. I'm going to drink the holy water and get our baby. And that did not work. So
come on, Vatican.
I know. I was like, come on, man. I'm like drinking all this water. I don't know where it's been. Like it was like in a public place. Like, I mean, evidently it's holy water. So I probably drink sewer water when I think about it. It really hurt my chances, actually. So then I had always had like really bad pain. And my mom had endometriosis, but doctors now will not do, the only way that you can really tell if you have endometriosis, like to be 100% diagnosed, is if you have a surgery. Most doctors don't want to have you have the surgery because it's a surgery and you have to be prepared for it. So I basically went in June, when we got back from Italy, in April, and I told my doctor, I'm like, no, like I know I have endometriosis. We're not getting pregnant. Something is wrong. I want the surgery. She did not approve it the first time. And I scheduled an appointment in her office every single week for 3 weeks, every single time asking for the surgery. And she finally allowed it. And I was able to get the surgery in June. And, whenever we got the surgery, I actually had a stage 3 of endometriosis. My left fallopian tube. So she was like, I can't imagine the pain that you were in. And I was like, yeah, no, I've told everybody I was in a lot of pain, every menstrual cycle and even like in between menstrual cycles. And it's actually growing back because yesterday I like doubled over in pain. So I don't know what we're going to do about that, but
oh no,
that's a whole other issue. But my left fallopian tube was wrapped around my bladder.
Oh my God.
It was my kidney or my bladder. I can't think. I would have to look at the results to see which one, but it was completely wrapped around it. So my left fallopian tube was not producing, like it was completely like tied up around it. And that's why I was having pain. My right fallopian tube was like completely, the right thing was completely blocked. So they had to flush out the system. She almost gave up on my left fallopian tube. And then she was like, we stopped the surgery. We got ready to sew you back up. And then I was like, you know what? Let me try one more thing. And she went in and like, she finally got that one unblocked. So at that point she was like, you weren't even dropping any eggs whatsoever. Like everything was blocked. And she was like, you had really bad endometriosis. So
you're like, I know, I told you that.
I know. I'm like, I've been telling everyone and nobody listens. And I think that just shows that like when you're a woman, like if you know something's wrong, like you have to be an advocate for yourself. And like, if you have to switch doctors, like you switch doctors, like, or just be a stalker like I was. And they will eventually give you that surgery. And then I woke up and the first thing I asked my husband, like when I woke up was, because I was so nervous that I wasn't able to have babies at that point. So I woke up and I was like, are we able to have babies? And he was like, yes, babe. She said that you're able to have babies. So at my follow-up, a week later, she was like, you know what? Like, you guys should be pregnant. Like, I cleaned you out. You were like a 15-year-old, like ready to have your babies. Like, in under 2 months, but we do need you pregnant by December, but don't stress, because if you're not pregnant by December, as fast as yours grows, your endo grows, we would have to do another surgery in December. So our goal is to have you pregnant by December. And I'm like, okay. So July, it didn't happen. And then I was like, I feel like something is wrong. And like, August, nothing happened. And my husband was actually talking to our neighbor, and they had went through IVF, but we didn't know that. We were just outside, and I had taken a pregnancy test like maybe 5 minutes before we were outside, and it said no. So I was like, I was emotional. And our neighbor was like, oh yeah, we're having twins. And I was just like, like, I'm so happy for you. And like walked inside, but I was like, why can't we get pregnant? Like, it's been like a year. Like, I don't understand. So my husband was like, you know what, babe, I'm going to go get tested. So, because I had my eggs tested and everything else. And in the state of Florida, because every state has different views on what they consider normal. In the state of Florida, my eggs were considered normal. So they were like, you should have no problems. My husband went and got tested, and it had him at, he had a 99% bad morphology. So a 1% morphology, his morphology was very low. He only had 1% good sperm out of like all of his sperm. He had 1%.
Whoa.
And yeah. And they were only, it was a 45% of movement. There's like a technical word for it. I can't think, but like the speed or the motility, 45% motility. So they weren't like super fast, and there was only 1% good. So even if you had like, yeah, like, which is crazy. And I'm like, what do you mean good? And they're like, well, 99% of his have like 2 heads, 1 big tail, 1 small tail. Like, and I never knew that it had to be the perfect size sperm, like the perfect size head to go on the perfect size tail to fertilize. I didn't know that. Like a 2-headed sperm can never fertilize. Like, did not know.
I didn't know any of that either.
I know. I would think it would be like 2 heads going in the egg. Like you have a better chance.
Makes sense to me.
Going like a beast at your egg. Like it is breaking in.
So since having Bella, my boobs are like, I mean, different size, different shape. Like, you know, you mamas know, you get it. But I found Third Love, and they keep in mind the breast size and the shape for an incredible fit and incredible, beautiful looking bras. Third Love is the leader in the industry with 70 sizes, you guys, including its signature half cup sizes. You guys, a half cup size, that's insane. All you have to do is you take this Fit Finder quiz, you answer a few simple questions. There's over 10 million women that have taken this quiz to date, and it's actually really fun. It takes less than a minute. The cups range from A through H with bands up to 48. 50% of women fall in between standard cup sizes. Isn't that crazy? So Third Love invented this half-size cup that is a genius, and they're comfortable and they're quality, you guys, and they're beautiful. I also just got this new bodysuit from there that is super sexy, and I'm going to tell you, Evan likes it too. Third Love knows that there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now they're offering our listeners 15% off your first order. So go to thirdlove.com/babes now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/babes for 15% off today. You're welcome. You're welcome, boobies. You're welcome.
So then we went and talked to a doctor, and literally on our wedding anniversary, in September 2017, our doctor called us and was like, so you guys, like, I was in the office and I brought his test results in, my test results, and she's like so sweet. And she was like, so you guys have a like 1% chance at having a baby. And I was like, wait, today's our wedding anniversary. You're not telling me that we have a 1% chance. Like, this is heartbreaking. And I was like, I can't, like, I started shaking and crying. I was like, I can't even go home and face my husband. Like, I can't call him. Like, I don't even know what to say. He was like out with his friends. And she was like, do you want me to call and tell him? And I was like, yeah, like, I literally will not have the heart to ever tell my husband that, like, we have so many good things, and like like that we somehow only have like 1% of having a baby, even though like you're a good person and I'm a good person. And like, we have all this love for each other and we would be like amazing, loving parents. Like combined, we have a 1% chance. Like literally couldn't tell him that. So she called and told him and he was like so sad. And we had friends staying with us that weekend. And then later on that night, they were like, we're pregnant. I was like, oh my
gosh.
And I started crying and they were like, what's wrong? And I'm like, we just found out today we have a 1% chance of having a baby. I'm happy for you. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
And then our doctor was like, well, there's 2 things you can do. We can do tests on Logan and surgeries on Logan. Or if you guys really want a baby and you're serious, because we don't think the surgeries would work, but we can try them. And we'll have surgery on you. And Logan was like, you're not cutting my wife open anymore. Like she's done. She's had like 2 surgeries this year. She's done. If my surgery is not going to help me, I'm not going to get cut open. And they were like, so then you'll have to go to IVF like immediately, because we still need her pregnant by December to not have the surgery again. So we started IVF and then we ended up doing it in Nashville. I felt more confident and comfortable in Nashville. I knew people there and I knew the team, and it was just an easy decision. And with them, they told me it would take 3 rounds of IVF to even get 1 egg. Like literally. And I was like, wait, we have to do it 3 times to get 1 egg.
Whoa.
Like that's crazy. And then we lucked out. We only did 1 round of IVF and we had 3 good genetically tested eggs. So it worked out for us, but yeah, we were going to have to do it 3 times, which I admire women that have to do it that many times. Cause I would have done it, but the emotional stress, like, I don't know how women do it. Like it is so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then,
sorry.
I know, this is great. So then so one of those eggs so happened to be your daughter then, right? And
yes. So in Nashville, they tell you like, they're like, okay, so they called and I was like on a shoot. We were shooting for Crackle Barrel that day. And I kept like staying by my phone and, you know, I'm like holding it up. And then I got the call and we were literally filming. And I looked at, because Jessie is one of my friends and luckily she understood how important that phone call was. And I like looked at her and she was like, take the call, Jess, like, and interrupted the commercial. And I like stepped out and I came back and cried. And I was like, we have 3 good eggs. And I was like, the one that they selected, which they judged them on strongest to least strongest. So she was a grade 5 AA. She was the one that they selected for the transfer. And then they were like, and then you have a boy who's a grade 5 BA. And then you have another little girl that's a grade 5 BB. So they were like, you have this one and she's really strong. And then the boy's really strong. And then the girl is just average. Like she's just like your average, like, you know, run of the mill, but you have one really strong girl and then your boy's second strong. So we're going to go with her. And I'm like, great. When are we putting her in? So, yeah.
So when did you actually then?
So we put her in on December the 13th. So it's coming up. And we flew to Nashville and I was a crazy person. I did not leave the bed. We got a hotel room. I did not leave the bed for 4 days. And my doctor told me, like, you know, don't drink anything cold, like drink stuff that's warm. Like you want her to be warm, always have socks on. Don't take a shower right now, only go to the bathroom. Like, so I was literally laying in bed, ordering from everywhere, like trying to feed her, even though she wasn't big enough to eat yet. And I'm like, no, I'm only like drinking warm stuff and eating warm soups. And like, I have on 3 pairs of socks because I'm going to keep feeding her. So, yeah. And then we flew back, with her in my belly, on the 5th day. So like 4 days later.
Yeah. That's so amazing. So then how was your pregnancy with her?
So it was really terrifying. So we told everybody on Christmas that we were pregnant. So I took a test, which you're not supposed to. You're supposed to wait for the blood test, but I like could not wait. I took a pee stick test on the 22nd. of December, and it was like the faintest line. And I like ran in and I was like, we're pregnant. I know. This is a definite yes. And then we were fine. And then on January the 2nd, we were having a little like family get together with friends and family. And we'd already told family, but we were going to tell our friends that we were pregnant. It was like our closest friends. And I was in the kitchen cooking. Everybody's downstairs in the house. And then I felt blood like come out of me. And I was like, oh my God, like this is not happening. Like this is not happening right now. So I ran upstairs and I had blood in my underwear. I started hysterically crying, like screaming for Logan. His mom came upstairs. And everybody was like, wait, what's going on? So then at that point, we're like, okay, we're pregnant, but we don't know if we are now because she's bleeding and we don't know if I'm miscarrying. So we immediately went to the hospital. They checked, the baby was still there. And this was like 5 weeks. Yeah, no, sorry. I was 5.5 weeks pregnant. We went to the doctor. They were like, everything looks good. But you need to be on bed rest. So I was like, okay. So I got on bed rest. I was still bleeding 3 days after that blood. I was still producing blood. So I went into the IVF doctor and I was calling because we had one here that we had spoken to and they were the ones like testing me because obviously I can't fly to Nashville every time I get a blood test because you have to do blood test every 2 days when you're doing IVF. So I like went in and I'm like, yeah, I have this blood. And they were like, was anything a clot? And I'm like, yes, I've had clots. And like, I mean, the clots were like, some of them were the size of like $50, like literally like cut $1 in half. Like they were big. So my IVF doctor in Nashville was like, okay, just stay calm. We went in, we heard the heartbeat. We were able to hear the heartbeat very early. They're like, it is very faint, but like we picked it up. You're fine. Still on bed rest. A week and a half later, I passed a massive clot. Like, I mean, it was easily like probably the size of this.
Oh my gosh.
Which usually means that's the baby. Mm-hmm. So I call my IVF doctor. They're like, okay, come in immediately. And that time they were able to see I had a hemorrhage and, or not a hemorrhage. Sorry. I had a blood clot that was causing me to have small amounts of bleeding, but the blood clot was in front of her, not behind her. And they were like, you still need to go on bed rest, but we can 100% say we're in shock that this is happening because if it would, they're like, you're so lucky that it's in front of her because if it would have been behind her, you would have definitely miscarried. Like 100%.
Wow.
No ifs or buts about it. You would have miscarried. So I was on bed rest until I was 8.5, 9 weeks pregnant, because I was still bleeding. So like I was going into the doctor and that was it. Like,
wow.
I don't think I showered. I'm not even joking for a week and a half because I was like, I'm not getting up because they were like, at this point, like anything is detrimental. So I was being so good. I was so stinky, like bless my husband's heart in bed with me. But I just wouldn't do it. I didn't want to risk it.
Right.
So from like week 9 until week 18 or actually no, week 9 to, so I had 9 weeks, 9.5 weeks of an actual good pregnancy, of a decent pregnancy. But, yeah, I told my husband at week 7 that I had preeclampsia. Like I knew it. I told him at week 7.
Oh my gosh. It's amazing what you know about your body. Like,
yeah,
like if you are in, like a woman's intuition is incredible.
We're so right. I just feel like we should have shirts that say like, yeah, no, we're right.
We should. Right. I want one of those.
Yes, trust me. Like we are so right.
So those of you that know me know that I love to travel and I love to stay busy. So I'll leave my house and be gone all day. And one thing that I found is that I continually get dehydrated. That is why I love Liquid IV. It aids in recovery. in giving you the electrolytes that you need. It's non-GMO, it has clean ingredients, it's a healthy alternative to traditional sports drinks, it's vegan, free of gluten, dairy, and soy. It can provide the same hydration as drinking 2 to 3 bottles of water. So I just grab one when I'm gonna leave the house, fill it up with my water bottle, and sip it while I'm gone throughout the day. The one thing that I also love about Liquid IV is that they donate 1 serving to people in need for every order placed. That is so amazing. I love Liquid IV, and I know that you will too. Right now, our listeners will get 20% off at liquid-iv.com when you use our code BABES at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order on Liquid IV's website. Go to liquid-iv.com and enter our promo code BABES to get your savings and start getting better hydration. That's liquid-iv.com, promo code BABES. Don't wait, get hydrated today.
So is preeclampsia the reason why they think you had premature labor then?
Yeah, so it is. Well, so it's so hard because they don't know, like looking back on it, like my doctor said that I started, which they didn't even tell me this because there's nothing you can do for preeclampsia.
Yeah.
So at week 20, I was showing protein in my urine, which they didn't tell me that because they're like, we didn't want to stress you out. And like,
yeah.
But I was thinking, I'm like, why do they have me like carrying around this like gallon of pee that I have to pee in and then take to the doctor? Like I didn't think there was something wrong. And at week 20, we also found out that we only had 1 umbilical artery. So most umbilical cords have 2 arteries. So she only had 1. So they were like, she'll be fine. She'll just be on the small side. And that's kind of it. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So at this point I was thinking like, how many things can go wrong with this pregnancy? Like,
yeah.
And I started swelling at week 7. That's how I thought that I had preeclampsia. I couldn't fit into my jeans. And keep in mind, I only gained 11 pounds the entire pregnancy of actual pregnancy weight. So like I gained 33 pounds of water weight.
Wow.
My goodness.
I just couldn't fit into my jeans from week 7. I'm like, babe, that's not normal. He's like, you're pregnant. I'm like, not at week 7. Like you're not.
Right.
But yeah, so when we went at 23 or 24 weeks to check up, they were like, oh, okay, like everything seems fine. They were still testing my urine. They didn't tell me anything was wrong. Again, just really small. And then on 26 weeks and 3 days, I woke up and I stayed on the couch that night because I was throwing up every 15 minutes. Like I couldn't even keep water down. And my husband woke up and he was like, babe, what happened to your face? And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, why are you down here? What happened to your face? He was so confused. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Cause I had a trash can just like throwing up. And I'm like, I'm just like, I need to go to the doctor. I think I have a cold or something's wrong. And I looked at my face and like, I can send you a picture. I was completely unrecognizable. Like, completely unrecognizable. It was the craziest thing that I've ever looked at. He immediately called the doctor. We went to my gyno and they did my blood pressure and they were like, okay. I was like 210. My blood pressure went up when I got to the doctor. It was like 210, 215, which is really dangerous. And that's like stroke and seizure mode.
Oh my gosh.
I'm trying to show you guys. I don't know if you can tell. That was my face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow.
Oh my gosh.
So that happened overnight. Like literally that happened overnight. That's how swollen I got. So they were like, don't even check into the hospital. We've already told the doctors to alert them you're on your way. They're going to take you up wheelchair to labor and delivery. And I was like, why am I going to labor and delivery? Like, cause they didn't tell me anything. They were just like, get to the hospital, stroke and seizure. We got checked in, they put me on magnesium, they did my blood work. And then a doctor came in and was like, okay, so we have some things to discuss. So you're going to be here until you give birth. And I'm like, I'm going to be here for 13 weeks. Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're going to go into labor in about 10 days. And I was like, wait, why? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not going into labor in 10 days. I don't know what information you have, but this is not what we're doing. And he was like, so right now your liver and kidney are failing. they're not in complete failure, but they are like, because liver and kidneys go up if they're failing, not down. And he was like, yours are trending like upwards. If I'm getting that correctly, they were failing. So I'm pretty sure, like, because I remember being like, that sounds like they're good, but he's like, no, that's really bad. And he was like, and she hasn't grown in your belly, looking back on like ultrasounds, she hasn't grown for about 4.5 weeks.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like brain, kidneys, all of that have been developing, but weight wise, she's not developing. She's measuring about a pound and like, 9 ounces, 8-9 ounces. So she's very small. If you go into a stroke and a seizure, she's probably not going to make it. She won't be able to tolerate it. We don't think she would be able to tolerate a natural birth. It would put too much strain. So they were like, but at this point, your life is in as much risk as her life. So whichever one of you fails, that's who we're going to take first. They were like, whichever one of your bodies give out.
I just got chills all over my body.
We're going to do that. Yeah. And like my husband was like, whatever we have to do to keep my wife alive, like that's what we're going to do. And my preeclampsia it got considerably worse, like every single day in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And then the day that we delivered, it was so crazy because I had like a pop, like a lollipop in my mouth because they thought I was going to deliver the day before. And her heart rate came back and mine was normal. So they're like, okay, like every day, every 24 hours counts. And they had me on like no food the day before. So they were like, okay, you can slowly start to like eat something. And they had taken me off the magnesium. So I had like a lollipop, like literally it was like a stupid, like Tootsie Roll lollipop, which I'm like, I never want to see a Tootsie Roll for the rest of my life. But I had it and they were like, you need to like calm down. Your blood pressure is really high. It's in the 200s. You really need to like relax and calm down. And they left the room and I'm like, okay. And I was like, Logan, I was like, I can't go to sleep. Like, I feel like if I go to sleep, I'm not going to wake up. I'm like, I can't do this another day. Like, I felt like I couldn't breathe.
Wow.
And I had just got finished telling him like, and my mom was there too. And I'm like, if I go to sleep, I don't think I'm going to wake up. And like 8 nurses rushed in. They like pushed Logan to the side. They threw my Tootsie Pop out of my hand and like completely turned me over and like shoved my like oxygen in my face. And like, nobody said what was happening. Like Logan was like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And I'm like looking at them because I'm claustrophobic. So like literally the lady had her full hand like
oh my
this,
gosh.
and, like on my head so I wouldn't raise up. And like the other one was on my back. So there were like 8 bodies around me and I was like panicking. And they were like, okay, Mom, like you have to calm down. Like baby's not doing good. Like baby's heart just dropped. Like it stopped beating for a second. You have to relax. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they did my blood work. My oxygen and like everything was going down. So I needed oxygen. The baby needed oxygen. The only way for me and her both to breathe was me on my side. So it took them like a couple of hours to get my blood results back. And my liver and kidney were completely in failure. Like they were done. Like they were like, they're in complete failure. Like they're toast. They got the sonographer in. Her airway should have been going like this, but it was just going like to one side. So they were like, okay, like emergency C-section. My blood pressure at that point was 220. And they were like, you have to remain calm. Dad, like, don't let her eyes close. When we take her back to deliver, like she has to remain calm. Her eyes need to stay open because I guess if you like close your eyes or something like that, like if you're in the risk for stroke and seizure, it can hurt it. But they were like so adamant about like, no, like smack your face, whatever you need to do. And we went into the delivery room and they were like, you're not going to know anything for about like 10 to 15 minutes. She's not going to make a noise. And like whenever they started strapping me down, like I started throwing up. So they had a vacuum like in my mouth.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't stop throwing up. Like literally could not stop throwing up. I was like, and they're like, you have to stop throwing up. And I'm like, how?
I can't.
Yeah.
I don't want to be throwing up all over my husband at all. It's bad for the baby. It's bad for me. Like I could choke. Like none of this is ideal. I'm trying my best. And then they were doing the C-section and they got her out really fast. And and we heard like the tiniest little, like, it wasn't even a cry. It was a squeak. Like, it wasn't even a cry, but like, I just remember like my husband was like, babe, that's our baby. And then, the health grade, usually a 27 weeker will get like a 2 or 3, on the health grade. And she actually got a 7 to an 8. And I remember like Dr. Patel was like, wait, 7? Are you sure? Like, that baby got a 7 and an 8 on the health. And they were like, we've done it twice, like 7 or 8. Like, and she was like, Mom, you have a really strong little girl, because she should get like a 2 or a 3. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
That's amazing.
But we didn't get to see her. They had already like rushed her off at that point when she was talking to me sewing up. And then we had wanted to do cord blood or whatever, and they cut into my placenta. And I remember hearing them being like, I've never seen one like this. My placenta was black. Like, it had not one drop of blood, like,
wow,
completely black. So they don't know how long, because if your placenta is black and there's no blood, they're like, when is the oxygen?
Right.
The oxygen get cut off,
right.
Nutrients. So yeah, so everything was like really scary. And then I got to see her 24 hours later at 3 a.m. the next morning. And then they were like, babies will show you who they are. So like, just, like high hopes. And then like the next day they were like, she's very feisty. She kicks her leg. If we try to change her diaper, she's
oh my gosh.
They're like, she will kick her leg. Like, she has let us know that like she at least has some fight in her, which is exactly what we want. And I was like, okay, thank God.
Yeah.
It was very, So yeah, we had 9.5 weeks of like a really good birth, or like a good pregnancy, I guess, out of everything.
I feel like I've been holding my breath the whole time you've been talking. I can't imagine going through that. I mean, wow.
No, it was so hard and so crazy, because like we didn't imagine, you know what I mean? Because like I feel like you always think like, oh, well, if like something bad happens to me, then like something good will happen, because that's like always like how I try to like live my life. So I was like, okay, well, we had to do IVF, so like we're gonna have the easiest pregnancy ever. But then like my mom and my mama is like so adamant about like, but honestly, Jessica, like God would never, like he wouldn't give somebody this that couldn't handle it. And they were like, so because of everything else you've been through, like you're really strong. And if it came between you and another person, like he did this for you because you could handle it, and like, you're fine with it and you can handle it and it's tough, but like you could overcome it and it's fine. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's like a good way to look at it. Like that's the positive side. And I have to look at it that way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You kind of have to, otherwise I think you can go to some very like dark places.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like a lie to say like, that's very traumatic to go through. So it's kind of like you have to, it's okay to feel all that you're feeling, but it's also like, you kind of have to hold on to that hope, because then what do you hold on to?
Yeah, no, you have to. And like whenever you're in the NICU, like you have to be so positive, because like babies feed off of energy. So like whenever people were like, are you scared? Are you nervous? And I'm like, no, like it's literally not crossing my mind. And like sometimes obviously it would cross my mind, but like my husband, he's so much better than I am, in a sense that he's like, no, this is our daughter and she will be fine. Like do not for 1 second think anything bad, because she had a level 2 brain bleed as well. And I was like, oh my God, is she going to be okay? Like, is she going to have like, any disabilities? Cause like that would break my heart. I'll forever blame myself. And they were like, usually low grade level 2 is like dyslexia, ADD. And I'm like, don't come at me with those, because those are not diseases in my mind. Those are not diseases. And if we leave the NICU and my daughter's dyslexic with ADD, like I will be the luckiest human alive. Like I don't even care about that stuff. And yeah, I mean, like so far, like we've been to so many neurologists and had MRIs, and like her brain bleed is completely healing the way that it should. And developmentally, she's hitting like all of her milestones, which she should be hitting for like a 2.5, almost 3-month-old. And yeah, all the doctors are like, so far, she looks great. Like she looks fantastic. She's doing everything that she should. And yeah, I mean, so we're very, 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 very lucky. But I'm like, I also think that like, she's got her, like, it's so funny because I'm like, she has her own little personality. And I'm like, you just were like a little like firecracker. Like,
I love that.
My belly, like, this is you. And she's got like a little sense of humor. Like, it's just, it's so funny, like, to see how she was and how small she was. And then like, now, you know?
Yeah.
You guys, I have a closet full of clothes that I just don't know what to do with. I'm obviously a different size since I had a baby. I wish I could get back down, but you know what? That's not happening in my life. What's great about it, though, is I found Poshmark. And Poshmark, you can buy new things for your new body or sell your old things. You just download the free Poshmark app. It carries women's, kids, and men's clothes, too. And it has tons of brands to also shop from. I mean, I buy so much Free People on there. I think Evan's like, okay, enough with the Free People, Carly. And I'm like, there is never enough. But I can't believe I found a Louis Vuitton Speedy bag, you guys, for only $300. That's also insane. Insane. But Poshmark is seriously the easiest way to buy and sell fashion items. Shipping is easy for both the seller and buyer. It's super fast shipping. And if you see something you want, you can also make the seller an offer, which that is so cool. It's just that easy. And listeners of Babes and Babies can get $5 off your first purchase. Just enter the referral code BABIES when you sign up. That's referral code BABIES. Happy shopping and selling.
How long was she in the NICU?
We left on our 100th day.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was in there for 100 days. And yeah, we would like go in, we would like read to her. And I would do things to make me stay calm. Cause I know some people are like, cause like, at least with us, she was so small that they were like, you know, you can't be in here all the time. Like, she needs quiet, no talking, like no disruptions. So like we got to see her like 3 times a day. And then I would drive to see her during touch time, and we would go 3 times a day and then like read her a nighttime story and like do everything that we possibly could. But in between those hours of us not at the NICU, which I would recommend this to any parent, because everybody was like, Jessica, I feel like you're going to crack, because I was still working. Whenever I was discharged from the hospital, I was still working, and then I was going to see her 3 times a day, and we were going through a remodel in our house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the thing is that if I don't do that stuff, then I'm going to sit here and I'm going to have like a really dark pity party, like a really dark situation of like, you know, like dating back all the way from like 2017 of like, oh my gosh, like we had a 1% chance, then we did IVF, and then like this happened, we had preeclampsia, like all this stuff. Like I will get in a really dark place. So I didn't allow myself to go there because I kept busy with work, because I am always used to having like 4 to 5 jobs. That's normal for me. I love working. I love being active. And that way I could have everything and like do things for myself and like work and go to the NICU and give her like the best version of me that I possibly could, versus like going home and crying and being so depressed and then going to see her and like having her feed off of that. I cried 2 times in the NICU. That was it. And one time my husband looked at me and he was like, babe, don't cry in front of our daughter. And he was like, she has your strength and your papaw's strength and my papaw's strength. She is a strong girl, and do not let her see you cry. Like we're like, not that like we're better than this, but like we're fighters. We have faith in God, and she's going to be fine. And we need to give her like all the positivity in the world. Like, don't let our daughter see you cry, because we're not going to feel sorry for her. And I was like, okay, which sounds like, and I know some people might be like, that's so mean, but it's like, no, like she was strong and she is doing so well. And I mean, he was right. It's like, you know, like like, of course we felt, you know, like, like it's so bad. Cause I know that sounds really horrible the way I just said it. Like he was like,
no.
But he was like, no, like, she's like us. She's a fighter. Like she's going to get through this. Like she is our daughter, babe. She is our daughter and she is tough. Like she is going to be fine. Like do not feel bad for her. Like we're going to get through this. And we did. And yeah, like it was amazing. And she's so sweet.
Yeah.
Have you had tons of people just reach out to you since this happened who like went through similar situations?
Yes. And I'm going to finish filming my my YouTube videos on it because I actually stopped. And the reason I stopped is because I was on bed rest and then we had all those issues happen. But like I always try to reply to every single person about IVF. And I tell them like, listen, this is what worked for me. Obviously I can't say like this will 100% work for you, but this is what I did. And it's strict and it's crazy, but at the same time, it worked for me. And I would rather go into something knowing that I did every single thing I possibly could versus me being like, oh, well, you know, maybe if I would have been on bed rest for 4 days and, you know, then it would have stuck. I just didn't want any like what ifs. So I did do a very strict, crazy like plan, but it worked for me. And I think like, I just try to tell everybody that like,
yeah, you do what you got to do when you're a mama, you know,
right.
like you,
yes.
and that's what you had to do. Your story is so beautiful and I'm like really moved and I'm over here getting emotional.
I know,
but
me too.
I know they always say that our babies choose us. And I really think that Lennon picked the perfect parents.
Yes. I definitely like, I definitely think that she chose us. Like now when I cannot imagine, like, I literally cannot imagine like another baby. It's so weird. I'm like, no, like you were supposed to come at 27 weeks. You were supposed to do all of this stuff. Like she was like, it's so crazy. That's why I'm like, I'm so curious how our other babies are going to be. I'm like, cause she is just such like a little like firecracker. She's like got this like little personality. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen with our other ones? Like, this is crazy. Are they going to be like you?
Yeah. I guess that's a question I wanted to ask you. You guys still want to expand your family and try for other babies?
Yes. So, we will have to use a surrogate. We found that out, which I didn't even know. I went to my doctor and I'm like, okay, so like, you know, plans of us putting another one in April is like out the window because we didn't expect to have a preemie. And she was like, actually, so we need to have a very hard talk. And I'm like, not again. I was like, I know where this is going. I can't do this again. So basically, they said it was a miracle that she lasted till 27 weeks. It was a miracle that I didn't miscarry, as sick as my body was when they went over the all my paperwork afterwards. So we have to do a surrogate because if I were to get pregnant, it is like catastrophic, like could literally be deadly for me. Because I would definitely have to have a liver and kidney transplant. As bad as my preeclampsia was, she said that if she could give a patient 100% that they would get it, she would give me 100%. But I guess like doctoral wise, you can only give like, you can't ever say 100%. So she gave me a 98.9% preeclampsia again. And she said, and then I don't think that your body would even carry it. I think you would miscarry before 20 weeks. And then she said, your next one is a boy. Boys aren't as strong as girls. Mm-hmm. So even if you did make it to week 20, let's just say, she was like, you would deliver well before week 27 if it wasn't a miscarriage. And boys barely survive preterm birth. And then they barely survive the NICU. So she was like, and then you're looking at liver and kidney transplant. And the best place for liver and kidney transplant is in Charleston, South Carolina. And I'm like, so this is like a hard no.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it's a hard no. Like you're going to have to get a surrogate. So we're going to buy really nice Christmas presents for a few people this year. And I'm going to be like, remember that really nice Christmas present? So I want to have our baby.
Surrogacy is so cool.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah, I think surrogacy it's just an amazing thing that's like an option now.
I mean, it's so incredible. And like, I just like, I can't imagine the size of heart somebody has to have to like do that for another person. Like it genuinely, like it amazes me. I'm like, that is the most selfless thing that somebody can ever do for somebody. Like it is so selfless. And like such like a beautiful, beautiful thing. So yeah, we're, I mean, you know, if we can't find anybody to do it, you know, we have one and she's amazing and wonderful and we'll, you know, stick with one. But if we can ideally like, you know, we want to give her a brother. And I think like that's as hard as everything else was on me. For some reason, that's been the hardest. Like I had like a breakdown the other day and Logan came home and I watched the movie Waitress. I don't know. Do you guys know the movie Waitress?
Yes.
Okay. So you know how she does all the pies?
Yeah.
Well, I was making a pie and he's like, babe, you look like you've been crying. Is this your sad day pie?
Oh my gosh.
Like, yeah, babe. And I was like, I just realized like, you know, like I know I want to give our daughter a sibling and like you want a baby and like the one thing that people make women feel like you should do is have a baby. Like I feel like in society, like people are like, oh no, you're a woman, you should definitely be able to have a baby. And then it's like when you get told you can't, like I felt like that day I felt like 100% less of a woman. And he was like, babe, come here, give me a hug, like you're an amazing mom, like blah blah blah, like why do you feel that way? And I'm like, I know I shouldn't feel that way, but like I'm human and I do. And it hurts to think that like I have to watch another woman carry my child, even though it is beautiful and it is so sweet, but like,
right.
Like it's going to be really hard. Like knowing that I can't do that for my husband and I can't do that for our family. It's something that is probably to this day, that will be the hardest thing that I ever have to do.
Yeah. And I feel that's very valid. I mean, I feel like how you feel is probably how a lot of women feel in your situation.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get pregnant right now with our second baby and I'm having a hard time. Yeah. But it feels like it's hard to not look at your body like a failure. You know, it's so hard to be gentle on yourself. So I totally understand. Yeah.
And it's like so hard because like you said, like you don't want to feel that way. And like, everybody's like, so like, like woman empowerment and that's great. But it's also like, we're only human. And when you like do something, you're like, well, did I fail? Like, what is wrong with me? Am I not a woman? Like, it's a really, really, really hard. That's why like my heart breaks for women that genuinely like have no options of having children. Like my heart breaks for them because I cannot imagine like, I can't imagine having that and like what their daily battles are. Cause I know what mine are and it's really hard.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. You've been so amazing to talk to today and just being so open and vulnerable and sharing your story with us. I know that it's going to help so many of our listeners who have reached out to us and been wanting to hear about this.
Absolutely.
I hope so. I mean, I talk a lot, so I'm so sorry.
No, it's been educational.
Where can our listeners find you if they want to like keep updated with your life and on Lennon and, possibly your surrogacy? Where can we find you?
Yes. Well, I'm taking applications at Lennon. No. So, on Instagram, and then I am finally like, I feel like I've gotten to a groove of things to where I am going to be able to film, like I'm going to do some IVF videos, YouTube videos of what worked for me, what I did. And, just like a couple of videos, like helping women with infertility. My YouTube and my Instagram are both Jess Southern. And yeah, I'm going to be filming those.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Jess.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, our pleasure.
Next baby.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye. Her story was so amazing.
So amazing. I mean,
okay. Yeah, I honestly knew that her daughter came so early, but I had no idea the battle that she went through just to have her daughter.
It was a battle. Like, wow.
I try to like put myself in her shoes and how I would have been, and I would have been a wreck. I don't know. I just am amazed at her and her strength and her husband's strength and
her daughter's strength as well.
And her daughter's strength.
I mean, what a fighter.
Yeah.
I love when she said that she was kicking her legs when she was getting her diaper changed, because that's just got it. I mean, it's just got to make you just have so much hope, you know?
It's like, it's like her communicating. Like,
yeah,
I'm
totally.
here.
And I'm fighting. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I see you.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah. I like listening to her story. She's so positive, and I can't even begin to imagine putting myself in that situation. Like, being that strong and that hopeful, you know, like she really does have a lot of strength. And, and I think that that's awesome that she's being open and just sharing the whole journey with everyone, you know, because it wasn't just the premature birth. There was so many things leading up to that.
Right.
You know?
Oh my gosh, so much.
That was so much more than I expected. I mean, I didn't really, I guess, know what to expect. Just the things that we saw, you know, that she posted on Instagram. But my goodness, wow.
Yeah. Well, at the end, she made a statement. She goes, I know it's like women empowerment, but sometimes, like, you know,
we're human.
Right. But I think that is part of women empowerment, is allowing yourself to fully feel, you know, as well, like to embrace we are fully human. We do have this range of emotions. It's okay to feel those things and to own those things, because I'm owning all of who I am as a woman.
Right.
Totally. You know? Yeah. So. Yeah. I wanted to hug her through the screen.
Oh my gosh. I know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
My goodness.
I'm so glad that we had her on and that we talked about this. I don't know tons about premature labor. I haven't really had to deal with that with my doula stuff or even with people close to me. So it's always good to hear people's stories. And I know that we've had a lot of people who have been wanting to hear about this, who have gone through it. So it was really, really nice that she came on and shared.
So nice. If you think about it, if that statistic is correct, in the United States, 10% of babies are born premature. And so there's a lot of women out there, you know, who have premature babies, and we have no idea what they've been through. So I think it's like really eye-opening for me to feel very what's the word? Like, I just feel like so much more empathy, like what they've been through, because it's just unreal. And I know every person's story is different. I mean, her daughter spent 100 days in the NICU, and that's just crazy. But, gosh, I just can't imagine going through that. So our hearts are with you, mamas. You're so strong, and your babies are so strong. And gosh, I don't know. I just want to hug everybody.
Jade is virtually giving a hug to everyone listening right now, which is why we love you. But yeah, that was a great episode, and I'm super excited that we get to share this with our listeners. So thank you guys so much for listening. And share this with people who maybe have gone through it or going through it or have someone close to them and they don't know what to do. You know, just share.
Totally.
Share Jessie's message and the story of Lenny, because she's a story of hope for sure.
Yes.
So,
all right, guys.
Thanks for listening.
Next week. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Babes and Babies, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.